speaker, we think that schooling systems are places that ought not be spaces that segregate. They ought not be spaces that oppress. They ought to be spaces where children are able to thrive and become meaningful members of society. We think that the promotion of hard work as a virtue is one that stifles all of these things. We think that on our side we ought to promote, for instance, within schools, things that don't do the harmful things such as segregation. We're going to be talking about just four things in today's debate. The first is we're going to analyze children of a school-going age and why then this virtue is something that's harmful. Secondly, we're going to look at who hard work actually works for, if anyone. And thirdly, what should be promoted within schooling systems. And fourthly, how hard work is actually not synonymous with what happens in the real world and why this then becomes harmful to future jobs. So the first piece of analysis then, we think that children of the school-going age are very impressionable. Very important in this debate because children become what they learn. We think that when you promote certain things that tell children that you socially condition them to be this certain type of person, that is the sort of thing that they're going to become. We think that this conditioning is something that's very harmful. But why is it harmful? What does hard work actually look like then within the debate? It's two things, right? Two basic things, rather. Firstly, we think that it's diligence, right? So for instance, things like finishing your homework on time, doing your school projects on time, those sorts of things. But why are these things harmful, right? We think that in this instance, no, thank you, the diligence then that is promoted within schools is one that systematically boxes children in, right? It tells you that to be a valuable student, what you have to do is complete your homework. It doesn't take into consideration many conditions that don't allow, for instance, those things to happen. I'll get into my analysis on that. No, thank you. But we think that there's a second sort of context on that hard work is, for instance, testing while within schools. We think that this is something that's also very problematic. We think that this is concretized, for instance, as a measure of what kind of student is successful, and for instance, children who fall outside of these brackets are children that aren't successful, that aren't valuable, that are not good enough. No, thank you, Andrea. We think that then a harm of what hard work actually does, another harm of what hard work actually does, is that it stifles creativity and innovation. Why do we know this to be true? We think that it is not uncommon, for instance, within schooling systems of any level, for instance, to overplay, for instance, children who test really well, for instance, with science and mathematics, but for instance, see children who do well in dramatic arts or sports and things like that as children who aren't as successful, right? We think that that kind of hard work is something that we only attribute, for instance, to real value in these sorts of instances. We think that those are the kind of children that we stifle. But the way in which then it stifles the kind of creativity that we see within future people is that it creates certain types of children who firstly aren't trusting of themselves outside what the system tells them they ought to be and are less likely to take risks like starting their own businesses and working outside the realm of just becoming an employee. All that we're doing within current working systems right now, within current schooling systems, is creating people who are going to work for other people and not creating students, for instance, who are going to think for themselves and work for themselves and take these risks that are valuable. No, thank you. Second piece of analysis then, who does hard work work for? We think that hard work within this instance, in the way that it is valued within the schooling system, has three levels, right? In the reason, or three things that it doesn't consider. The first one is socio-economic issues, secondly is learning disabilities, and thirdly the elitism of rewarding systems, right? So on socio-economic issues, we think, for instance, that things that promote hard work, for instance, are ones that are essentially classes, right? So for instance, to be able to do really well within schools, when you have access to things like tutors, when you have access to things like being able to go to the library late because your mom is able to pick you up, we think that people who fall outside certain socio-economic brackets don't have access to these specific privileges, right? So we think that in those instances, those are things that are not considered by the schooling system. So for instance, if you are a child who has 4 other siblings that you need to take care of, if you have to get home every night and cook dinner for your family and clean the house, and you aren't able to complete your homework, these are things when you go back into the schooling system that aren't, for instance, recognized but you're told that you're not good enough, you should be completing your homework, we're going to fail you because we don't consider these things. We think that socio-economic issues are things that we do need to take into consideration. No, thank you. We think that, for instance, even though in reality some progress is being made within schooling system is one that has essentially failed, it is not uncommon, for instance, ladies and gentlemen, that within South Africa, for instance, only 20% of our public schooling system is actually producing graduates who are valuable within school. We need to change the way in which we approach education. This is not the way to do it. Secondly, then, on learning disabilities. Another factor that is not uncommon, for instance, is the way in which firstly we misdiagnose ADD and ADHD, right? We don't deal with students specifically, for instance, who aren't able to concentrate within classrooms. We tell them that either you are lazy and you don't listen and you're disruptive, or secondly, you're sick and we need to put you within medicine. This kind of systematic boxing out of students who are outside within schooling systems, one that's inherently dangerous. We think that that's something.
Okay, the point is in these low bracket, low income areas, like often a narrative of hard work is very encouraging given that there's a lot of apathy and disillusionment in these places.
Yeah. No, not really. You see, what actually happens within these instances is that, for instance, if you are able to make it out of abject poverty and get, for instance, 7 out of 12 A's and make it into the schooling system, it says to you that once you have that ability, everyone else who wasn't able to have that ability, everyone else who's in an isolated incident is not good enough. You're not going to get into medicine because you don't have a high enough mark in mathematics, even if you didn't have the tools to get you to become that person. We think that that's when hard work in itself is a virtue. Doesn't work. But thirdly, then, the elitism of reward systems. Why is this true? Children who generally test well, for instance, gain access to things like the Dean's List or gain access to things that give you certain privileges within schools. This says to other students that you are very specifically students who fall outside what we value as a faculty at school and what we value as students who are going to give special privileges. We think that hard work within instance is one that innately segregates. Third piece of analysis then, what schools ought promote. Yes.
It's a huge problem solution gap in analysis. All your problems aren't solved by removing hard work as a virtue.
Third piece of analysis goes directly to that. What should schools then promote within this instance? We think the first thing, for instance, as a burden to opposition, is that what they need to prove then is that schools are going to be vastly degraded when we don't promote hard work as a virtue. What is it then that we ought to promote as a virtue? Things that I've already alluded to. Firstly, saying to students that you ought to thrive in the way that you ought to thrive, for instance, in the way that you know how, in a way that speaks specifically to your personality. We think that learning systems themselves ought to be conditioned to one that speaks directly to how children learn, and not one where we condition children to be ones that need to be conditioned to the way that we teach. I think that that's something that's very important. No, thank you. So, for instance, in this instance, fourthly then, why then is hard work harmful? For the fourth reason that we give you. Why is hard work then not synonymous with how the real world works? Firstly, it's unrealistic standards of what success actually looks like, right? We think that when aggressive standardized testing was introduced in the United States, it didn't improve the way that children tested. It didn't improve the way that children actually did well within school. All that it did is give the American government a way in which to say, well, we're giving you more of these concretized mechanisms that don't actually work when we tell you that somehow you're going to be successful within the real world. This isn't true. We see this, for instance, with how children who do work hard in school and who do well don't actually become adults that thrive within school. We see this as something that isn't uncommon, for instance, with children who have, for instance, an inability to succeed when they go into university and transition into real adulthood. For children, we're very proud. Okay. All right.
Keep time for himself. Why would she not keep time for herself?
She was holding the phone.
Was she? She was. Just the timing was weird.
I hate sometimes when you see time as soon as you start speaking and then they clap you off for like 10 seconds. I've had that. It's happened to me once.
Government presents their framing as an education system serving to create contributing members of society. It's ironic because that's what hard work does. And a lot of the things they talk about when they talk about startups, for example, require massive amounts of hard work. We think to tell people that they can be aspirational and not engage with hard work, devoid of reality, is to lie to your children. Is to fail as an education system. We tell you it is important. So let's look at what they actually told us. We think amongst the generalized stuff, they tell us that diligence is particularly harmful because it means to work for other people. Unclear as to why. It's also then that testing well is specifically elitist and problematic. They seem to think that creativity and innovation don't require hard work, that they don't require you to direct skills to cultivate your talent. seems that the only thing that you require a good score is mathematics where you work for someone else. That seems a pretty uncharitable view of hard work. We say hard work is directed at a lot of different things, and if you want to change that, like where it is directed, change that aspect. Say that it's also valuable to work hard within those creative pursuits too. We think it's not inherent to hard work as a problem. And here's where they have a specific problem, because they tell you that it's really harmful to be based on results. Sure, deal with the motion where it's harmful to ensure hard work as a mechanism to achieve those results. You still haven't given us any analysis to show why hard work specifically, as opposed to test results, are the problem. Massive problem solution gaps. We hope that the government deals with that. So let's deal then with what you actually get. Because we tell you that the core aim of education is to create a preparation for current reality. We think that it's important that it does this. Secondly, I'm going to be telling you about hard work being a mechanism to better your circumstance on the comparative. Thirdly, I'm going to be telling you about hope and perceived control over your circumstances in your subjective view. And lastly, I'm going to be telling you why this is best for the child. So firstly, the core aim of education is to create preparation for your current world view. So it's a tough job market and generally a capitalist society. It is a populated society where competition actually matters. We need the best people for jobs. Why is this? Because efficiency is a necessity when you have limited resources, when you don't have space, when you don't have capacity. Because you are going to engage with competition at some stage in your life. So the reality of the world, as it works, is that you're going to have to engage in hard work at some point. We think then it is important to prepare that as an active virtue within your schooling system. It prepares you for the real world. In most developing nations, we can't necessarily provide an equal standard of living. So how then do they have a mechanism for bettering their circumstance, we ask you? You're required to prepare people, and we don't think being aspirational without any reality and any preparation is a virtue. We think it's important because we wouldn't actually value that if we said, we don't really need to teach math, that's not so important. We think it harms people when they have to learn all of this algebra. It's really hard for them, but they need it in the real world. Like, if you need it, we think it's important to teach it. Secondly then, why is hard work the mechanism to better your circumstances? This is really important because on the comparative, they tell you about elitist structures and sort of prohibitive structures, but then give you no mechanism to change those elitist structures. On the comparative, what do you actually get? We think the first level is a lottery of birth, where you are born into a certain circumstance. All of the analysis they give you, they then leave people in that circumstance. They say it's not important to use hard work to actually better those circumstances. They say this is just how it is, right? You think when you talk about socioeconomic system, hard work is one of the main vehicles. You change that socioeconomic system, you change that imbalance. It's specifically important to tell people that they can change things. Secondly, we say that the other thing that we have under their comparative is natural talent. You're born smarter, you are valued in terms of your test scores because you just are better at math or you just are better at art. If you don't have hard work to actually better yourself, then we have no mechanism to actually achieve any kind of improvement. Thirdly, we tell you that people with learning disabilities, right? They tell you that these learning disabilities then are just like where you have to stay. In all of those circumstances, hard work is an important vehicle for changing your actual circumstance. Thirdly, we tell you about hope and perceived control over your subjective worldview. So we recognize that there is no objective reality, I'll take in a second, and we think it's important that you feel some sense of control in terms of changing your own circumstance.
And so you're not arguing for hard work as a virtue. You need to tell us why you're okay with telling a child who doesn't want to engage in that capitalist system that there's something wrong with them as a person.
No, we don't have to be like a terrible person because you're not a capitalist. All we have to tell you is that in the education system, if this is the real world, the education system should probably be teaching you about those things, should probably be telling you that is important. Like, I'm not sure why you're putting weird burdens on us in a POI. Anyway, let's look at hope and perceived control, which is kind of what I was dealing with already. Like, regardless of circumstance, and regardless of like an objective good outside of your own worldview, I think hope and control is important in terms of the apathy that you engage with when your circumstances aren't like this, right? So it's like really nice to tell people when they're 6 apparently that no, we're communists if you really don't like any capitalism. Like, recognize that if you choose to opt out of a capitalist system, you probably won't have equal access to opportunity, you probably won't have as much money, you probably won't be able to provide for yourself later in life. We're unclear why we should enshrine that as a virtue in that choice in an education system. Okay? But specifically, in these circumstances where imbalance exists and the need to engage in the real world here, we tell you that that allows you to have some control over your circumstances. That being able to say, if I work really hard, I might be able to change the circumstance in which I'm in, means that you have subjective good in terms of that. Why is that best for the child? We say, firstly, it gives you some kind of purpose. works should get direct attention and intensity towards a goal. Secondly, we tell you that there are tangible rewards associated with hard work, right? We think it's important to know that you often get gains from working hard, and in that circumstance, it's incredibly fulfilling. We say even in the circumstance where you don't actually get that, we still think you get some kind of benefit from learning the spectrum before you get to the real world. Lastly, we say that the psychology of kids at this stage is about completion. Their identities are meaningfully linked to what they achieve. So in terms of child psychology as well, we think it's a virtue that you're enshrined in terms of how their identity is linked to their education. So what have we told you in opening opposition? We've told you that the purpose of the education system is to prepare people for the real world. They need to engage in a reality where you do have a competitive market, where you are required to work hard, to get any kind of access to opportunity, to get any kind of access to providing for yourself. We told you that hard work is the mechanism to do this, and we think it's important to enshrine, therefore, as a virtue as to how you better your circumstances. We told you that perceived control over your circumstances makes you feel better about the circumstances you're in and makes you more able to create change. Lastly, we told you that it's best for the child overall, and we think that's also something you should value in your education system, what better the child. So far, they haven't told us about anything inherent to hard work specifically. They've told us there's some problems in the education system, they need to deal with hard work, and because of this, we are very, very proud to oppose.
We ended up not doing it. We couldn't have it because our 20% viewers we couldn't have done it.
Madam Speaker, virtues are powerful. They're so powerful that often they lock us in psychological manacles to which we can never opt out of. That's how powerful virtues are, and that's where this debate lies. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, the motion reads, this House believes that hard work will not be promoted as a virtue in schools. Our burden is to show you why it shouldn't be a virtue. Not hard work is bad. That's their burden as to why it should be a virtue in schools, because virtues are completely different to it being promoted in today's debate. Those are key differences. I like the rhetoric, but there's no analysis on the other side. Okay, so a quick, in terms of rebuttal, before I tell you why virtues are so powerful in constructing the ways in which we view our lives and the ways in which we integrate with the regenerative society. Then, rebuttal first though. They say, but this is failing education system. Again, Madam Speaker, we would posit that it's not. Because education systems ought to show you the realistic consideration about the world. Because often hard work isn't enough for you to succeed in the real world, unlike what they'd like you to believe. Because capitalism always chooses who begets that capitalism, and often it's disenfranchised concentration of power to the rich. And often other individuals are unable to access all of those boundaries because you've trained them and conditioned them that they ought to work harder. And even in instances where they're just systematically dropped from those institutions, they must not work harder. This allows for capitalism to systematically exploit people. We don't think that's morally correct in today's debate. They say, but hard work is important. Yeah, we concede. What you need to prove to us is why it's a virtue. And I'll give you that analysis as to the key differences between what virtuous means and hard work in its own realm, right? This is the diversification, sophisticated argument you get from the upper, which received insufficient response from their side, and we think that's essentially important. They say education should have a worldview. I've already told you why education does indeed have a realistic conceptualization of the worldview when it's never virtuous. Because often, when I cannot access specific things, I go back to that virtue in my brain. And that's why religions, and that's why social constructs are so powerful in the ways in which we view the world and how we opt in and opt out of specific things. They need to tell you why, under their side, comparatively, they change the ways in which that virtue might be a psychological manacle for an individual and cause things like inferiority complexes within those specific individuals within society, and why the schooling system should be the ones who indoctrinate those individuals to such a degree where they are able to access other things that the schooling system ought to give them in today's debate. They say, lottery of birth is important. Your side arguably and comparatively increases that lottery of birth because it's much easier for a rich and smart kid to then say through hard work mechanisms that I am better and gain things in the education system that other individuals comparatively cannot gain in today's debate. They need to tell you why they changed that when it's a virtue. We think that's important. They have for us a very specific sort of point in our analysis as to say they need to prove to you why the education system would somehow be degraded when hard work isn't a virtue. Their response is, but like you remove hard work. No, we don't. We just say it shouldn't be a virtue in today's debate, and we think that's important. The idea of hope I'll get into my integrated rebuttal. Lastly, they say you change the circumstances, and this too I'll have it into my integrated rebuttal. But before I move on to that quick note in today's debate, they touch literally none of the helper's analysis and try to bypass it, right? She tells you 4 specific things: how children at a vulnerable age is the specific, and how they're so impressionable to the world. They tell you how hard work doesn't always benefit that specific individual, and how agency, especially in the schooling system, is important for individuals to self-actualize. And lastly, she tells you how often hard work is never synonymous with the kind of benefits and the social progression that you get under what they say in today's debate. Right, now that's done, right? What I'm going to tell you, specifically in my speech, about in terms of my analysis, I'm going to tell you something very important. The point is this: the power of virtues is often compartmentalizing my existence, and I often have existential crises in how I integrate with society. That's why social constructs are so important to break, are so unlikely to be broken. That's why homophobia is still a thing, because social constructs are always virtuous things. And whenever I try and exist outside of the paradigm of that social construct, I am unable to do so. And my inability to do so is systematically constructed by the schooling system. We think all of those things are harmful to the specific individual when you construct them to view the world in a specific way, when you construct them to integrate with society in a specific way. These are massive harms you attribute to vulnerable and impressionable kids in today's debate who don't have the opt-out mechanisms that other individuals have in today's debate. We think that's important. But how do you know this to be true? Because a virtue is a condition. It's a social construct which I hinge my existence on. So it has so much power that if I don't live up to that social construct metric, I'm ridiculed. I'm seen as insufficient. I'm seen and put on a taboo, right? So it means my existence is always subsumed by that virtue itself. So even if I want to self-actualize, I'm unable to do that because that virtue has placed that metric upon myself. This is specifically important to children because they are unable to have objective counterfactuals as to why that virtue is significantly harmful. That's why often children have high suicide rates, especially in the education system, because no matter how hard I work, I can never break through or get the kind of results that opening opposition would like you to believe in today's debate. These suicide rates are an indication of the kind of harms which virtues place upon individuals, because they go back to that virtue. When I work 24/7 to study for the exam tomorrow, and I still don't get that 80%, I am unable to self-actualize as an individual. And we think those are key attributes to have in today's debate. We think that's essentially important. But why is this specifically important in terms of today's debate? Yes?
Like you're saying, that your own analysis concedes to the fact that capitalism begins itself, but you fail to show us how, in the access of hard work, to navigate that system.
Okay, I'll tell you here 3 specific reasons why that's important. Firstly,
It means my brain processing is often compartmentalized. And I've already told you that I never have counterfactuals to measure up whether or not that virtue is good or it's bad for myself, because the schooling system has such an inexorable power upon the mind of the child, and we think that's important. Secondly, school is seen as an elitist attribute, and we think that's harmful, because often teachers will tell you to work harder, and even when you work harder, those teachers only benefit those individuals which get 90%, and often that's never how society works, right? We often help those individuals who are vulnerable and are weak in society, those individuals who aren't as smart in society. What hard work does as a virtue means we allow teachers to buy and escape those specific things to help those individuals who are weak and vulnerable, and only concentrate their teaching efforts to things like the rich and the smart. And we think that's an unfair thing. You get this sort of analysis from the halfway. Moreover, it creates false hope. And four things to consider here. Sometimes people work hard and they don't get this sort of hope we talk about because they're impressionable and don't achieve those specific things. Secondly, I look at the school in a negative light as someone who's oppressing me when I cannot self-actualize. Thirdly, when you look at the real world success, it's never synonymous with this kind of thing. Fourthly, it creates the perfect kind of scholar, and I don't think you should place these value metrics upon the individual's lives, especially when they're children. So for the side that actually caters for these kids, go with opening government.
It's so funny when a guy stands up and decides to take the soft side and no, we like, hard work. You don't want it to be a virtue. You can still promote it, but don't make it a virtue. They never tell us who the difference in that line is. How do you make something a virtue if you don't promote it? The fact to promote something means that you make it a virtue, right? The only way we get something to be a virtue is through promotion. So you can't be contradicting your whole life and saying, we like hard work, but don't promote it. Just like make it a virtue means, oh, she's out of today's world. Let's deal with real life in today's world. And now we'll be looking at the problems that they bring us in the case. Let's realign why the case is so like. Firstly, there's still mutual exclusivity points in the map. They don't tell us why we can't promote hard work and different business styles at the same time. They never tell us why we only promote hard work as opposed to saying because you're good at art, you're good too. You guys never should have was exclusive to your alternative of what virtues you wanted to prove, and that was the problem. Secondly, your problems aren't related to hard work. The hard work in his speech talks about virtues being about testing people, talks about virtues being about like promoting math and science. Then the guy is saying changes virtues to be just the thing we tell kids to believe in. There's no mechanism as to how kids believe this so automatically before you've already lost. Thirdly, you imagine that a virtue means to get locked into a system. If they can't prove it's a bad thing, then why is it problematic to be locked into that mentality? Because the problem is, government has to prepare you on a risk probability. What is the most probable thing that will give you success? If you prove it a hard work, will probably give you success. So even if Jordan's POI, the some kids don't need to work hard to have success, the fact is, majority of people do. And therefore, government has to promote hard work for the majority of kids in certain circumstances. Yes, some kids can find happiness without hard work, but the fact is, a lot of people can't. Therefore, government's responsibility is to promote virtues that are good for the majority. So now let's deal with the second idea of how we're trying to reconstruct it and tell us how kids like then start to like blame their socioeconomic standards on hard work. And see, I told you in the speech how your system doesn't deal with it. Because your system tells kids that you're poor, you're never going to make it out of your circumstance. The system tells kids that because of your way you've been born, you can't escape it, right? Hard work says that we understand your circumstances are hard, but here is a mechanism through which you can deal with your circumstance. You tell kids that they can never fight to leave their circumstance. In a society in which we aren't able to like get everybody out, we need to be able to promote them. Secondly, they compare like hard work to being gay. We say no, right? Being gay means you're able to like opt out. Like, you can't opt out of being gay. You can opt into an house of hard work, right? So you can choose that value, you can choose that circumstance. That's what we're telling you. That's like, even if we can't solve all problems in the world, even if some kids work hard, we can't achieve things, the fact is that the only way to achieve things is through working hard. Therefore, even if some kids can't get there, the fact is don't take away the mechanism through which we can get there. And we say, yes, it's unfortunate sometimes that doesn't work out. But on a scale of ability, we think the most likely way to get out is through hard work, and we defend that mechanism. What did we tell you last week? We told you firstly about education is to be holistic. Here's why I hate debates. The debates in the fairyland where like everything can work like be possible if you really do things. The fact is, you have limited resources, you have limited capital, you have limited time. Everything in our society is about segregating people. Yes, sometimes that system means that poor people and black people are like segregated less. That isn't the problem of the virtue, the problem of the system itself doesn't afford them opportunity. We try to fix those problems in other ways by like giving things like BEE and affirmative action. That's how we fix the issues of people being trapped in like socioeconomic statuses. Not telling them don't work hard, black kid, but you won't make it either way. Just stay where you are. How we promote that virtue is through our system. Secondly, we told you how because of the world we live in, government needs to promote virtues as kids can develop, right? So things like virtues means that if you develop this virtue, you have a higher chance of success. The fact is, because we think that hard work is the higher chance of success, you're able to do that. Secondly, we told you how like the only way you can escape your circumstances is through hard work. We never tell us for a reason. So last week we tell you like how hope is important to this instance, we never get a response. I'll take one.
At the point at which you say hard work is a mechanism for success, at the point at which someone works damn hard and doesn't achieve success,
I've already responded to this. I told you that yes, some people can't get that success. But the fact is the only way to get that success is through hard work. So therefore at a point in which you say nobody must ever try, you aren't actually doing anything to help you obtain that success. Especially in a system where you're already being disenfranchised. It's sad, but you do have to work hard as you enter middle school. You do have to work hard as you enter engineering. It's the sad fact of the world, but it is the world we live in. The education system has to reflect that world more than conscious escape reality. What am I going to tell you in my school? I'm going to tell you how governments also need to promote individuals that are able to change the world. Because the fact is, whether or not you're good at art, maths, or science, every talent needs to be worked on. The people who change this world are the people who have a natural talent and develop it, right? Develop it in a way that means to them. All of their problems just tells us that we need to change where hard work is being targeted to. On the fact that we have hard work in the first place. We need to tell kids that you can be successful if you work hard at art. But you can't just sit at home and be like, I'm an artist, woo. You have to get up and like draw things, right? You have to get up and improve the skills. Even in your best circumstances, you're able to do that. Think you even have to work hard as like being somebody who doesn't care about anything. There's a lot of effort to be like, I don't care about anything. No matter your personality, you're still able to work hard to be the best you can be or to promote society. Being the best you means you're given a circumstance and we improve with that circumstance. Hard work encourages you to be able to do that. The reason we want it to be a virtue because it's so important to your success. And of course, that they don't deny that, they agree with us that it is important in the highest thing speech. They also buy into the system that we need to promote it because of its success, because of its charm for success. Lastly, we tell you that, cannot be forgotten in today's debate because we deal with the core of the issue. The core is what education promotes as a virtue. Education will promote something that can lead you on a scale of ability to being more successful. Even if it doesn't always work, as long as the mechanism that gets you that success, you're willing to promote it. We tell you, when we're dealing with that poor people and knowing how circumstances. This is the mechanism of which we need to adopt to be able to do that. And lastly, we'll tell you that everybody in the midst of your talent is going to do it. Because we on those side that actually understands education, understands what virtues really are, and at the side that you made consistent in our speeches, I'm very, very proud to oppose.
What analysis would be given to us virtue?
What?
What analysis would be given to us virtue?
Is that how virtue ethics in and of itself is meaningless?
That's
a stupid argument.
It's not a very small debate, really. Like, sure, it's a cool intellectual exercise.
It's important.
What side opposition necessarily tells you is that success is putting all of your time into your job. That success is putting all of your time into your business. That success is just like the capitalists want you to do, spending 9 to 5 hours sitting in work, trying to get some sort of happiness from the success that you get from doing well. That's a vastly unattainable goal for majority of society. What they ignore, and what we're going to tell you, is that it's perfectly reasonable to say, I don't want to work hard all my life. I want to invest time and spend it with my family. I want to do the things that I enjoy in life. I don't want to spend 9 to 5 all of the time in my job when I exclude the things that I truly enjoy. We think when you promote hard work as a virtue, you promote a type of success that only benefits 1 or 2 individuals and doesn't benefit the types of individuals throughout society that we want to see. Firstly, let's look at what a virtue is, because this has been kind of neglected throughout this debate. Firstly, it means that you're promoting that this is an innate good in and of itself. It means that if you do not work hard, you are a bad person. Something about your character is flawed. How do they promote this as a virtue? Well, they promote that if you work, like the way to convince people is to promote that if you work hard, you will get success. That hard work necessarily is a good in and of itself in the same way that morality is. So with that, let's move on to what the alternative narrative is that we would like to say in today's debate. Firstly, we would like to send a realistic narrative to children. Not the narrative that if you work hard, good things will happen. We would like to tell you that sometimes if you work hard, good things won't happen. We would like to tell them that sometimes there are certain jobs that need hard work. So if you want to become a doctor, you probably need to have some hard work. But we aren't going to just blatantly tell you it's a virtue in and of itself. So we can be realistic as teachers and inform kids that you might need hard work to do certain things. We don't have to promote it as an innate virtue and that makes good simply by doing it. Secondly, we would say that we would encourage an alternative narrative where teachers ask children what they want. What type of life do you want to live? Do you want to get happy by spending time with your family? Do you want to be a doctor? And then encourage the children and examine how they think they should best do it. We think it's perfectly feasible for a child to say, I don't want to waste all of my time in the office. I want to get a job that affords and pays and covers my fees, and then the rest of the time I spend doing the stuff that I enjoy. That's a perfectly acceptable narrative and one that's being excluded under that sign. So with this, let's get into some quick responses. One, they accuse us of being unrealistic. If anyone's unrealistic in this debate, it's them when they say that hard work always leads to good results. We think it's perfectly acceptable that you have children working 9 to 5 every day of their lives and end up with depression and not the livelihood that they want. They cover people. Next, they say you get completeness. Completeness from control of your environment. Do you know what creates a lack of control of your environment? When someone tells you that hard work necessarily gets good stuff, and then you work hard and you don't succeed because of systemic discrimination or because of the demographics you come from. If anything's going to be psychologically harmful, it's that.
Let's move on to our case. Firstly, why is this a terrible narrative that many children don't opt into, and it's very psychologically harmful to those children? Firstly, we think many children see that others do a lot better than them, even when they're working very hard. This means one of two things. Either they work extremely hard in order to do better, which often leads to psychological problems because they aren't getting any fun time or time off, they're pushing themselves to depression and fatigue beyond what is natural. Or B, they give up, right? Because they see that they've been working extremely hard, and yet other people are doing better, and when they believe that the only virtue is working hard, they then think that something's gone wrong with the world, or something's wrong with them, and they feel immensely discouraged and demotivated. Secondly, it's just damn boring, right? When you tell children that the primary narrative for doing well is hard work, and not that success can be other things, like enjoying time with your family, or following your passions, they give up and think then that there's something wrong with them for giving up. Because they now don't want to work hard, they are led to believe that they themselves are damaged, flawed, subhumans who are not as good as other people are succeeding. That is very harmful. No, thank you. Thirdly, hard work is a lottery, right? Some children are born with the ability to sit down and work for hours, vast majority not. Those children don't want to work hard. Now, when they don't work hard, they feel as if they are invirtuous, that they are bad. That's a massive problem. Let's move on to our principle for today's debate, but before Sean.
How is your case mutually exclusive? We can tell kids to work hard and you can enjoy life.
If you listen to my first 2 minutes of substantive about what a virtue actually is, you've got to listen. What you necessarily say is that hard work is a virtue. It's a good in and of itself. Therefore, if you work hard, you are being virtuous. If you do not work hard, by proxy, you are not virtuous. That is not the same thing. Let's move on to our principle. So, firstly, we're going to say that it should, and school systems should cater to the fact that children might have diverse interests. At the moment, what we implicitly do under the status quo is say, if you are successful, go work hard, be successful, and then if you're successful, you're going to be happy. The problem is we get the equation wrong, because often success doesn't lead to happiness. What we should be promoting is that you look for what makes you happy, and then pursue that first and foremost. So why doesn't success lead to happiness? Firstly, because often it's unattainable. Often there are cases where you aren't going to be the top professor that you wanted to be because of the background that you came from. Often there is systemic discrimination that is very hard to overcome. Often it is unrealistic considering the social circumstances that you have, and so a more realistic goal might be a better one. But secondly, we'll say even if you do achieve success, it often doesn't lead to happiness. There are many bankers and CEOs who turn back and feel as if they've wasted their lives because all that they've ever done is work hard, which they assume was virtuous, and now it worked out that it actually isn't. Next, we then see also that we think often hard work prevents people actually being good at what they're doing, right? So hard work, it promotes dogged determination. It says that the way to achieve hard is to put the blinkers on, to look at the books, and just carry on. We think often the best way to solve a problem is not through hard work, it's working out how to avoid hard work. A good mathematician isn't judged by his ability to do hard work, he's judged by his ability to avoid it. Looking for the easier option is often a very good way to get your goals at far lower cost. We think that's something that children should be able to access. So, essentially, what are we giving you in this debate? And lastly, I'm going to finish off with this principle. They want to impose the idea that schools should say that individuals should work hard because that's good for society. Maybe it's good for society. We tell you that schools' primary prerogative should be making children happy. The vast majority of students, one, aren't going to be made happy by just doggedly working hard. Secondly, they're far more likely to be made happy if you give them a narrative that they can all buy into. Not one that's exclusionary to the vast majority, not one that makes them unvirtuous when they don't opt into it, not one that's exclusionary of a realistic version of the world. For all of these reasons, really proud to propose.
Very good. Textualization, so yeah, it's a good one.
number of students what the education system did not provide to students. In post-apartheid South Africa, the education system demands of black children, but it does not give to black children. Open government concedes that a capitalist system demands certain things from certain individuals, but they don't show us how, in the absence of hard work and in the very structural barriers that exist in society, those children are actually going to achieve the things they care about. So like really, virtues don't exist out of context. We think it is important in this debate to locate the people who need most desperately in society to come to the ladder in this debate, and we don't think that they show us that on their side. In this debate, I'm going to do two things for you. I'm going to do the analysis that the government bench was supposed to do. I'm going to show you how, on their side of the house, in the absence of hard work, what happens to black children, firstly in private schools, in the best conditions, and what happens to black children even in under resource school, right? Because like the alternative that they try to give us is, well, talent, natural ability, risk, etc. But even that case that we get from open governments are self-defeated. Because it like just re-entrenches the idea that certain people will just never make it. Right? That same own analysis of philosophy of birth. It just means that if I wasn't born a singer, then I'm never ever going to be able to sing. Like I think like Sia has already proven how self-defeatist the entire case is, right? So we think like ops better not prove, and like they didn't do it, both of them, like really. So we're gonna start again. Ops better not prove was like the things that we agreed that we care about in the house, right? To prove that we're going to achieve these things realistically and materially outside of the abstract considerations we're going to talk about. These things, and we're going to show you how we improve on our side, economic advancement, which was done by opening opposition, but two extensions that we're going to give you are how we get increased social capital and political leverage for people who otherwise wouldn't have had it, and lastly, how we get self-reaffirmation of those who are defeated by problematic popular narratives in society. I've done a few rebuttals, right? But like, one will go into the case, but like just one thing I want to say. It's easy to say, yeah, don't work hard, go home and invest with your family, when you're white and you have a trust fund and you go to UCT and you live in the UK. But I think that as a black person, I have no other option than to work hard because I don't have a trust fund to fall back on. I don't have a family who works, who is in a certain class that is going to take me out of poverty. So for me, I have no other choice. So the analysis that we're supposed to give us today, right? In the absence of hard work, let's look at a child that goes to let's look at Bongani, right? Who went to like a private school. I'll just say he went to St. John's and forgot what school he went to. What happens in the school, right? Like the demands of private school education systems such as like IEB, etc., usually align themselves with international standards of education. What do these things demand of the students? What they demand of all the students is the same thing, right? They have advanced language programs, advanced math and science programs, etc., which usually require support and counseling from family support in terms of just like psychological family support, and also in terms of helping them do their homework, familiarizing themselves with the work that they have done. For black kids who don't come from educated families, they don't have the resources to help them, they don't have the parents to help them with their math homework. So the three things they have to do, like they have to be impressionable, they have to adapt, they have to assimilate, they have to suffer structural violence, which already stands in the way of them being able to perform. Because like psychologically they're affected because of those conditions, right? So without hard work, you have a black child in a school where they're suffering racism, where they can't even adapt to the institutional culture, and you expect them to thrive, you expect them to enter a place in capitalism. You didn't show us how, I'm not going to let you show you in my speech, right? Yeah, but secondly, let's look at the bulk of the kids that we care about in this debate, right? The kids who go to under-resourced township schools. What do their schools look like? Lack of resources, lack of libraries, computers, textbooks even, in my province in life, right? There are not kind of teachers who are qualified to even help them with that work, to even do that work for themselves, if it is that an understand doesn't want them to do that work, right? Most of them aren't even able to go to school because they're hungry, or because they're sick, or because they even have to work. So to compensate for all the other factors that stand in the way of them going to school is that they have to work hard. Without the hard work, what happens? OG, CG, shoulders. Yes, the halfway.
You see, it is exactly that response to people who have systemic problems, for instance, the exclusion from the classes, you can't let people know the racist response that you just need to work harder does not address the immediate.
But it just means it just means like when you work harder, it's better, right? Like actually, I'm going to show you. I promise. Yeah, like what you do is like you relegate them to even worse positions, right? But this was an argument as well as a response to the halfway. What do you achieve in closing opposition, right? Because but they want to claim that we don't achieve anything, but we actually do, right? We think that open opposition has already spoken about like accumulating better material wealth, etc. But we think this is how it's going to materialize for kids from particular positions. Because anyone can accumulate wealth with like good education, obviously, through hard work. But what does accumulating wealth mean for the groups that closing opposition cares about? It means firstly social mobility. It means that you change your positioning. Your positioning is determined by like several things in society: your gender, your sexuality, your race, abilities, etc. Some of those other things we can't opt out of, so those things will always exclude us from the capitalist system. What then is the compensation? The compensation is a better education, is a better fighting chance, a better qualification. On their side of the house, they can always criticize the structure, but they don't give us a solution. They don't give us why, while we're still working on the structure, how else we can increase our positioning. And we show you in closing opposition how we would on our side, right? But secondly, what does it give us? It gives us better social and political capital. Because obviously the reality is, those people who have access to these areas that they care about, those people who are rich, those people who have money, are those people that control discourses in society. They're the ones who make policies, they're the ones who determine who lives where and who lives what. We think it is important for people from former disadvantaged groups to be part of this conversation, to change their own positioning and those of others. And we think what we achieve on our side as well is psychological reaffirmation and a fighting chance which you don't get on their side. I'm very proud to report.
Thank you very much.
I can sum up the opposition's idea around how society works by quoting Vanilla. She says, when you work harder, it's just better. That's not true. Thousands upon thousands of people work harder, and it does not get better. Structural inequality stops them from getting better. Depression stops things from getting better. Any manner of things stops society and their life getting better. They need to prove to us, and they fail to prove to us, why showing hard work as something good in and of itself and the key to success, something the entire op-bench concedes, is one, psychologically beneficial to children, something a school should be aiming to achieve, which it's not. No responses to Desmond's analysis. But two, why this is realistic. It's not. That's what I'm going to be going over in this speech. But firstly, let's get closing opposition out the way. We think it's admirable that they try and paint us as like a typical white UCT team that isn't down for revolution, when the very discourse they promote is one which denies welfare to people because they simply aren't working hard enough to get themselves out of poverty. It's the type of discourse that allows rich white people to say, oh, it's fine for me not to donate money to the poor because I worked hard for what I've got. They didn't work hard. That's what a virtue is. They need to wake up to that fact. Why can't a black child decide to be lazy and not put in 9 to 5 when a white child has to put in like 8 to 4 to get the exact same amount? Why can't people who are like previously oppressed decide that they too want to relax and be lazy? The reason we don't let that happen, the reason we prioritize hard work is because we say that's a good in and of itself. Next, let's deal with the principle here and what we think people should be aiming for in society. And this is thoroughly underanalyzed by the opposition. Benodia says people need to climb a ladder, and hard work is the means through which the ladder is climbed. That's not true. There are lots of rungs missing on some people's ladders. But we'd say they haven't even told us why we should be telling people to climb that ladder in the first place. That ladder is incredibly arbitrary. We think it's super psychologically harmful to tell people they always need to be contributing members of society. Ansuya just asserts that they should be so to make society function in a good way. But why should my obligation be to make society function for everyone else, when oftentimes the amount of work I put in benefits people a whole lot more than what I should be benefiting from? That's why hard work falls apart, because society isn't structured in a way that benefits hard work. I could work 10 times harder than everyone else in this debate, but for some random factor, like an adjudicator not listening to a certain part of my speech, that principle is ridiculous. They need to tell us why people should climb the fucking ladder in the first place. Next, let's deal with what Desmond told you about and answer a question that was not answered until his speech. That is, what does it mean to call something a virtue? What we get from opening is that virtues are norms, which we agree with to an extent, but they're a little bit more than that. We think it's humorous that people talk about gayness being something as a function of working hard. I work pretty hard to be gay, so that's what a virtue is, right? Is something that we say without it, there is something missing from you as a person. We say honesty is a virtue because irrespective of consequences, there's something good about being honest, about telling the truth. Love is a virtue because even if you love someone who perhaps isn't as worthy of love as someone else, that love, that giving of love, is in itself something good, something we value. What we say is that not everyone is capable of hard work. If people have fatigue, if people just don't have the ability to concentrate as much as others, if people are trapped in poverty, it doesn't matter how hard they work, they won't get what they want. That's why we can't say it's a virtue, because virtues are embedded in every person's humanity, and not everyone is the same in the way the opposition says they are. No thank you. Okay, let's deal with two things now. Firstly, the real world, and then the world we want to present, the real alternative in this debate. Before I do that, though, I'll take Benodia.
Jordan, if you say hard work makes nothing better, then your defense is that zero work makes things much better than hard work.
No. Actually, I'm going to swap these points around and deal with the alternative first, because that's been grossly misunderstood by the opposition. We're not presenting a world in which we say, if you don't work hard, you get what you want. We're presenting a world that says, sometimes you work hard and don't get what you want. But hard work can sometimes get you things. You just shouldn't expect that it always gets you things. That simply working hard, without any other factors at play, creates good in your life in and of itself. That's not realistic, ladies and gentlemen. On our side, and this is the alternative, we can get teachers who say things like, it's fine if you have a mental illness and can't work hard. That's okay. We get teachers who say things like, sometimes you might work hard and not get what you want. What we get is one of two conclusions with the status quo, which is when you work hard and nothing gets given to you, you don't get what you want. Either, no thank you. One, people think, I'm just not working hard enough. That's incredibly psychologically taxing, because then you push yourself to try and work even harder to get what the other people who seem to be getting what you want get. You can never achieve perfect happiness, and we think at the point in which we say hard work tends you towards perfect happiness, that skews the way the real world works. It's actually protected time. So we think that's the first conclusion. People just push themselves incredibly hard, and we see that in society when businessmen turn around and say, I've wasted my life working hard. I would have far rather lived in like squalor and surrounded myself around with the people I love. When we say hard work's a virtue, people don't see that because they see working hard in and of itself as being a good thing that will make them happy. Or they think there's a malicious force at play. Something is not operating for me, and that's also incredibly psychologically taxing. We think it causes you to probably just give up. So if they care about contributing members of society, they're also on the wrong side of the house because what they create is very disheartened individuals. What did we bring you? We gave you an account of what a virtue is that was missing in this debate. We gave you a realistic account of how society works and how people interact with each other and otherize each other and how psychologically harm themselves when they think that there is something wrong with them for not working hard, or when they work hard and they don't get what the narrative of virtuosity says. I think virtuosity. That's why we've won this debate.
Doesn't disadvantage. That's good. Good. Yeah. Perfect.
I wish this side of the house had worked a little harder, because all we get is some very mediocre white-splaining and a total listing of the points that we gave you and the extension we gave you in closing opposition. We based our extension on the idea of what the titan of Black intellectual thought, Stephen Bantu Biko, says when he means, "Black man, you are on your own." This is the inspiration for our extension, because that's what we're appreciating here. Given that it is the case that you're on your own, we believe that you have to do everything you can to improve your life chances and improve your improve your material conditions. And we say that the likelihood of getting that good life is done when you work hard. And when we send the message to Black children in our schools across the continent and in this country that they can achieve and they can work hard. And we gave you a case for why that's possible. I'll be doing two things in this speech. I'll be dealing with some issues of rebuttal, and then I'll be looking in summation at some of what Benoda gave you. But let's get straight into the issue of rebuttal. The first contention we had was around the idea of virtues, right? This side of the house tells us that the idea of imposing a virtue on a child is particularly problematic because you say it's something innate and fixed, and without that, you know, they're screwed in life. We say this isn't necessarily the case. We already got analysis from them, the opening government, that virtues are social constructions, right? So this is a clear concession that it doesn't have to be something which is the sum total of who you are, the essence of who you are. We can tell children that, but still encourage the virtue. Because another aspect to this idea of virtue is that virtues don't have to be innate. They can be instrumental virtues. We can simply tell you that, yeah, there are many facets to who you are as a human being, but this is a particularly useful character trait to adopt. It's not the entirety of your person. That's a very reductive notion of virtue we get on this side of the house, and a total misdirection in this debate. And then lastly, on the idea of virtue, we can also have like countervailing virtues, which we accompany along with the idea of hard work. So we can tell you, no, it's also good to relax, it's also good not to be neurotic and obsessive and work too hard. That can be done in conjunction with telling people that, yeah, it's a good idea to work hard, sit down. Okay, and then they tell us that the trouble with virtue, hard work as a virtue, is also that like it's overdetermined. it becomes all-consuming and says to these children that they'll amount to nothing in the world without hard work. So they accuse us of having an over-deterministic view of things. And we say, no, what they have to engage with on this side of the house is the likelihood, the probability. What we're telling children is not that life is all about hard work, but like, given that both sides of the house can see the context we exist in, given the nature of how the world works and the neoliberal economy we find ourselves in and the way in which the world's structured, it's more likely that you'll lead a better life, and that's the response of Another Baby and Kill High, and we think it still stands in this debate, right? No, thank you, sit down. Then they also have a problem with the idea of exclusion. They tell us that like this is a necessarily exclusionary virtue which you're imposing upon people, and we say no, it isn't, because you have to do the way up this panel. No, thank you. Because it's between having people with natural, unquestioned talents versus having the concept of hard work, which is about effort, which is something you can opt into, as we recognize on this side of the house. Which means, if we compare these two ideas of like natural, God-given talents, it's more likely that people are included into the idea of virtue because it's something they can opt into, it's something they can attain, but whereas they can't attain some God-given natural talent, and that's a relevant comparison, and that's where we win on this side of the house. No, thank you, sit down. Right, and then they also tell us about the idea of how, no, thank you, sit down. And then they also tell us about the idea of inequality, right? And we say that they have to acknowledge the reality, right? This is what we've been bringing them down the line here. They have to acknowledge that we already exist in a highly unequal and unevenly structured society. Given that the Marxist utopian revolution isn't coming overnight or isn't coming anytime soon or tomorrow, we think you're doing a huge disservice to these children when you tell them there's nothing they can do and you give them no instrument, no mechanism by which they can try to navigate these highly problematically structured realities. Before I continue, I'll take it.
Virtues are arbitrary heuristics constructed by society. Why should I burden my life according to this arbitrariness? They often subsume my existence. Why is that fair on a child between the ages of 0 and 18 when they're impressionable?
No, this is great. You just conceded that like it's not fixed, which means you don't have to internalize it totally. And we've already given you analysis how it can be accompanied with other kinds of virtues. There are countervailing virtues. It's not the only virtue with which you'll be inculcated in school. So that's not a problem at all. Okay. What did we bring you in terms of our case? We gave you firstly an analysis of the alternative. We told you that there are inherent problems with their side of the world in the absence of like this kind of narrative around virtue as, around hard work as a virtue. We tell you that in the absence of encouraging virtue, hard work, you get a problem where people exist in like, especially in the South African context and the African context, they exist in schools which don't empower them. They exist in schools which instill a sense of inferiority in them, that nothing they do is ever good enough, and this is reinforced at the level of the teachers, who sometimes often don't relate to where they come from in historically white institutions, and it's also reinforced by the kinds of interactions they see when they have successful white counterparts. And we say that it's important in this context to be able to give them a narrative that says, yes, you can make it, you can do something about your lot, you can improve it through hard work, you can increase your chances in life. And we say that that's a hugely encouraging thing to be telling these children. And it also applies at the level of like the under-resourced. We say there are often huge amounts of deprivation and apathy and financial strain that plague these societies. And given that, we would say it's hugely irresponsible for us to give them no mechanisms and no chance of hope or possibility, as we heard from Oprah. And we say that it is, in fact, more likely that you can, through hard work, achieve some measure of success, even if it's not perfect in the end. And we say the kinds of outcomes we get from this are increased material life chances, increased chances of social mobility, especially for the kinds of marginalized black children we're talking about. We also get a strong sense of psychological affirmation, because the process of like achieving something through your own hard work is massively empowering and does wonders for self-realization. And then we also challenge the narrative that says like these black children can't achieve anything. We dispel the myth of their inadequacy and their failure. For all these reasons, I'm proud to propose.